My parents ghosted me when I married my husband because he wasn't who they envisioned. Turns out he was perfect, and 5 years later they could have been saved if he was their son-in-law. I met Dawson at a community clinic where he volunteered between his shifts at the fire department. My parents had already picked out my future. A hedge fund manager named Preston who drove a Tesla and talked about his portfolio during dinner. When I brought Dawson home instead, wearing his thrift store jacket and talking about his EMT certification, my mother actually winced. A firefighter? Dad said the word like it was a disease. We didn't pay for Yale so you could marry someone who runs into burning buildings for $52,000 a year. Mom pulled me aside and whispered that I was throwing away my potential, that their friends' daughters were marrying doctors and lawyers. She actually used the phrase suitable match, like we were living in a Jane Austen novel. The ultimatum came 2 weeks before our wedding. Choose him or choose us. I chose the man who'd spent 3 hours helping an elderly woman find her lost cat, who knew CPR and how to make me laugh after terrible days. They didn't come to the wedding, didn't call on birthdays or holidays. When I sent photos of our small house, the silence was deafening. My sister would speak up. Mom would say everyone was wanted to dance. Dad would make photos from his office. 5 years later, I was pregnant with our first child when my sister called, hysterical. "It's Dad," she sobbed. "Massive heart attack. He needs a bypass," but the problem was simple and cruel. Dad needed emergency surgery. Their insurance had lapsed due to some corporate loophole. The hospital wanted $340,000 up front, or they'd only stabilize him and send him to a county facility with a 6-month waiting list. His cardiologist said he had 3 weeks, maybe 4. My parents had spent everything keeping up appearances. The country club, the summer house, the cars. When the market crashed, they leveraged their retirement on bad investments Preston had recommended. The golden boy had lost them everything, then disappeared when the money dried up. My sister begged me to ask Dawson for help. He must know someone at the hospital. Please. I know what they did was wrong, but he's our father. That night, I told Dawson everything. Part of me wanted him to refuse, to let my parents face the consequences of their cruelty. He listened quietly, then made a single phone call. Within 2 hours, Dad was scheduled for surgery with the hospital's best cardiac surgeon, a woman who'd lost her son in a fire Dawson's crew had responded to. They'd spent 4 hours trying to save the boy, and though they couldn't, she'd never forgotten how Dawson had sat with her afterward, just listening. The surgery was performed at cost. The surgeon called in favors. Dawson organized a fundraiser at the station that covered the remaining expenses. His unsuitable firefighter colleagues raised $47,000 in 3 days. He never asked me if he should help, he just did. When Dad woke up, Dawson was the first face he saw. My husband had stayed through the entire 8-hour procedure, updating my sister, bringing her coffee, being the son-in-law they'd rejected. "Why?" Dad whispered, his voice broken. "Because she loves you," Dawson said simply. "And because it's the right thing to do." My parents tried to apologize. Mom cried and said she'd been wrong about everything. Dad offered to pay him back, though we all knew he couldn't. Dawson nodded politely but kept his distance. The damage was done. He'd saved my father's life, but he'd never forget how they'd treated his wife. Last month, my parents asked if they could meet their grandson. I looked at Dawson, and he squeezed my hand. "Your choice," he said. "I'll support whatever you decide." I think about my son growing up, about what it means to forgive versus what it means to forget. My parents were wrong, and they know it now. But knowing and earning forgiveness are different things. I'm still deciding, but I know this. My son will never question whether his worth is measured by his job title or his bank account. He'll know it's measured by his character, just like his father taught me.